I always say this, how can I? And that's what you should be asking yourself. Do I want multifamily? Do I know that multifamily syndication is the thing that I should do? Because if that answer is yes, then everything else is just a story.
It's time for the Creative Real Estate Podcast, your source for out-of-the-box real estate investing strategies, brought to you by ecospace.com. Now, here's your hosts, Adam and Jason.
Welcome back to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Adam A. Adams, and today we've got a great show for you. We are talking about the word I can't, and I need that out of your language. So we're just going to go into this a little bit because this is something I'm very passionate about with my own two children. So I could share so many stories, but the one that recently comes to mind is we were just at the store and there was a bin of inexpensive CDs, not CDs. We don't even use those anymore. DVDs. Okay, so we wanted to watch movies and one of the kids pulls out a movie and actually the CD was loose, so I thought that the CD could have been scratched. So I didn't want to use that one. So I said, go into that bin and get another one. And so he looked for just a minute or two, right? And then he said these words. He said, "Dad, I can't find it in there." And I said, hold on. We were about to leave anyway because we were looking for a long time. And, sometimes it's just not worth it to just spend all that time looking. But once your child says the words "I can't," it becomes a teaching moment for you. And you need to learn that you need to share with them that they can. Because we need to get those words out of our children's mouths because then they're going to grow up to be just like you and me. And you and I, we cannot say those words, "I can't." So here's what we did is I just said, "Hey, Johnny, well, you're going to have to reach in there until you find one because I know you can find one. And I need you to know that you always, always, always can, no matter what." All right. So I have a little bit more to this episode, but I do want to get into our most recent 5-star rating and review, and then we'll get right back into the "I can't" and getting that out of our vocabulary. So this most recent one comes in from Jay Barshop, and thank you, Jay, so much. Jay reached out to me. He emailed this to me, so I appreciate that. It says, "Awesome show, highly recommended. Adam and his guests provide some incredibly compelling and actionable content geared to help you become a better, more well-rounded real estate investor. Highly recommend listening and subscribing to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. If you want the knowledge and mindset to creatively and confidently invest in real estate and inch closer toward financial freedom as a result, you should listen." So there we go. I would be grateful if you also would leave me a 5-star rating and review for this show. It helps me get in front of more and more guests that are better and better guests so that we can bring and attract them to come to the show, which in turn help every listener become more familiar with the creative real estate strategies that we're teaching. All right, so let's take this back a little bit. Now here I am. We're at the store. My kid is not able to find this same movie that I know is not scratched in a certain amount of time. So he says, "Hey, Dad, I can't find it." And immediately something struck a chord with me. Not a good chord either. All of a sudden I looked at him and I said, "Johnny, you don't like it when you say that you can't do something, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "So you know what I'm going to ask you to do, right?" And he goes, "What?" I said, "I'm going to ask you to go into that bin until you find it because I know there's one in there. And I know you can." And it translates into almost anything in our business, right? With real estate, with creative real estate. Someone bounces something off at me and says, "Hey, I can only take X amount for my house. That's the lowest I can go." Well, I immediately go and play the devil's advocate and say, "Well, what do you want from that?" And then when you ask enough questions and you understand really what they want, you can offer something. You can always offer something. And the answer is always yes. Same thing with multifamily. I've talked with so many people. A lot of them are you, the listener, who come up to me and say, "That's so, inspiring what you do, Adam. That's so incredible what you do, Adam. I'm going to get started in that in a couple of years," or "I can't wait until I have enough money to do what you're doing," or I can't wait until I have the right network or whatever the excuse might be. And it's just like that it is with my children, that I stop for a moment and I look at that person, the listener, in the eye and I say, you can do anything. My first 120 something doors, I never even put a penny in. I owned $6 million of real estate before I ever put a single penny. My next 400 doors were all passive. I went passive in 400 and something doors after. Today, I'm about to own 1,200 doors. And the only doors that I put my own money in are when I went passive in somebody else's deal. 1,200 doors, all purchased within 2018, is impressive by itself. And it wouldn't have been able to be accomplished if I made the same excuse that a lot of people make, that maybe you make. If I focused on the things that I can't do and I allowed them to be excuses, I would quit today. Have you heard of people talking about a book? I think it's called 3 Feet from Gold. Those people quit. They probably said, I can't. They were that close to having their 100 doors, their first 100 doors that they didn't even have to put a dime of their own money in. They were that close to the gold. They quit. They didn't quit for a real reason. They didn't quit because there wasn't gold. They quit because they told themselves the wrong story. So with that said, I want you to tell yourself the right story. And if having these 16 speakers talking directly with you to help you to overcome the fear of raising other people's money. But when you understand that you can stop telling yourself that story and do the thing that you know you need to do to inspire other people to do what they need to do, I want to get you out of the story that you may be telling yourself, the story that's holding you back, the story that I will not let my own kids tell me, the one story that I try so hard, I fail, but I do everything I can to take those words, I can't, and especially the words that follow it, because blah, blah, blah. I always say this, how can I? And that's what you should be asking yourself. Do I want multifamily? Do I know that multifamily syndication is the thing that I should do? Because if that answer is yes, then everything else is just a story. I hope this helps, and I hope it made an impact on you. You can. You always can. And the only way you're going to can was when you stop saying you can't. Until next time, my friends, think outside the box. Thank you so much for listening to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. And if you got value from this episode of the podcast, please take the time to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Give us a written rating and a review. We'd really, really appreciate it. I'm going to let you go, but until next time, think outside the box.